Hey there, welcome. Thanks for joining me. If this is your first time to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and also click on that bell button so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and share with friends and family. So today we're going to be making a few different monogram home decor pieces. The first one we're going to be making is a doormat. And what you're going to need is one of these mats that you can purchase at Dollar Tree right now. They're an 18 by 18, so they're a really nice size. What you're going to do is go ahead and just draw out your, right on your rug, your initials, or like I did, print it out and just trace your initials onto your floor mat. And what I'm tracing it with is a permanent marker. I've done other area floor mats for the front of my fridge depending on the holidays. If you want to see my Easter era floor mat, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below and I'll make sure to add it onto my next tutorial. Because this is a great way of personalizing any kind of floor mat for your kitchen, restroom, a baby's room. Is just anywhere you want to place a floor mat, you can actually monogram it, or maybe print out a baby elephant or some balloons or something like that if you want to do for a kid's room. And like I said, I do one for every holiday and I put it in front of my fridge. Do you guys do that? Have a little floor mat in front of your fridge? Let me know in the comments down below if you guys do that as well. So once you're done tracing it out, what I used was my permanent marker just to fill in my monogram letter. You can use a permanent marker, which worked just fine, or you can paint onto your rug floor mat as well. What I decided to do after I filled in my letter is I went ahead and grabbed some tape, and this is a 2-inch roll of tape, and I made a border onto my mat. You don't have to make a border onto your mat, but I chose to go ahead and do that because I felt like just the monogram in there was a little bit too simple for me. So just go ahead and grab any size of tape, or even like, for instance, a ruler if you want it to be that width of a border, or any kind of design. Tape it on and then just trace it with a permanent marker. Go ahead and do the same thing to the other side of your floor mat. These mats right here are very good quality. I was so surprised when I saw them at Dollar Tree. I wish I could have found more of the same color, but they only come, I believe she said, 3 of the same color in each box. So I only purchased the 3 that were the gray and white, the colors that I'm using in my living room. So once you're done drawing out your border or whatever design you wish to add onto your floor mat, you can again use a permanent marker or paint it on to fill in whatever border you decide or design you decide to add to your floor mat. For mine, I decided to go ahead and use a permanent marker again to fill in my border, but it took a little bit longer than what I had patience for. So I went ahead and did some of it with permanent marker, and then I just filled it in with paint the rest. And both of them worked just fine. I've already had it a few days in front of my front door, and it's just fine. So once you're done painting or filling in with the permanent marker your borders, allow it to dry, which doesn't take very long, but make sure if you do use paint or the permanent marker, you rub it in really, really nicely. So once you've allowed your paint to dry, go ahead and put some kind of clear coat on top. Now this Never Wet is from Dollar Tree, and I love this. I'm glad I purchased 2 boxes. I went back to get more and I couldn't. It's a simple 1 and 2 steps. Basically, you spray paint the first one, allow it to dry, and then spray paint the second one, and it works great. So if you do see those in your Dollar Tree, pick them up, because that's the same as putting a clear coat onto anything really. So just go ahead and set that aside and allow it to dry once you spray painted it. Now with my other two pieces, what I decided to do was make one rug with this. So what I did was simply add some hot glue, and since you can see how thick this floor mats are, so I added some hot glue on the edge, glued them together. Then I got some of this drawer liner, and it's like the slip proof kind, and just cut out a piece that fits that line or my area rug. And I just cut it in half just to make it, because I didn't think you needed it. It wasn't necessary to have such a big piece in the back. And then here is where I added my permanent glue, which I use E6000. And I just zigzagged it over both of the, where the seam is at on both rugs to make a larger one. And this is going to go in front of my desk in my living room, which matched perfect. So I added a line of hot glue on both sides of the mat, and then just pulled down my strip, and then I just grabbed you can grab a popsicle stick or anything, but I just grabbed the handle of a paintbrush to rub in onto the E6000. So go ahead and allow those to dry overnight before you place them wherever you're going to have them. So our next DIY, again, using the same monogram, I grabbed some cardboard and traced it out. Now, if you don't want to use cardboard, you can easily go to Walmart and purchase one of the letters there. They're typically about $2, I believe, and they're the larger, nice size. I just wanted to show you that there is other options if you don't want to go and pay that extra $2 for the wood letters. So just grab a nice piece of cardboard, and this is a really thick one. It came with the refrigerator, so it's a really thick cardboard, heavy duty. And if you don't have a heavy duty one and you're going to use, say like the project boards from Dollar Tree, I would recommend you making maybe 3 of the monograms and gluing them together. So here, after you cut it out, I basically, with my sand block, just sanded everything down, cleaned up my letters, and I chose to go ahead and make 2 of the monograms and glue them together. And that's just because I wanted it to be more of like a pop out kind of letter, or maybe a 3D effect onto, I wanted my monogram just to stand out a little bit more. So once you've done that, go ahead and set your G aside. And what I did was grab these garden fences, and I'm using 6 of them. Now, depending on how big you want your metal decor is how many you're going to use, because you can use only 5, and it makes it about a 2 foot in width. So just to give you an idea, but I wanted it to be larger, so I used 6. What you're going to do is on the bottom square of your fence, basically angle another fence on top of your first fence, making sure you connect the bottom square to each other, if you see what I'm doing on either corner. Just like this. And you're going to add more zip ties later on, so don't be too worried. I'm just adding some to start connecting everything together. And here I am doing it again, basically the bottom corner to the bottom square to the bottom square of the second fence. And then just go ahead and zip tie these together again. Now I'm using the smaller zip ties that come in the bag from Dollar Tree. There's larger ones and smaller red ones, and I just so happen to have some smaller white ones. But use any color of zip tie you like. It doesn't really matter, because you're going to go ahead and paint this when you're all done. So go ahead, and also when you're adding your zip ties, make sure you add all your zip ties the same way. In other words, it's like a little square on your zip tie where you're actually tightening it. Make sure all of those are going up, in this case, the same way. That way when you finish, they'll all be the same way, and you won't see that bump when you're done in the front of your decor. So basically I'm doing this with the front of my decor facing down. And just continue to add all your fence squares together. And it doesn't take long to do this, just depending on, again, how wide you want your decor and exactly where, because you can connect all these all these fences together from your first block or square on the top. It just depends on how you want your decor. But again, I'm using the zip ties and tying them together from the bottom square. So once you've connected all of your fencing together, just go ahead and pull on all your zip ties. Make sure they're nice and tight. Adjust anything that needs to be adjusted, and then go ahead and start adding any more zip ties wherever you feel comfortable or want to add any. What I'm doing is basically wherever I see my fence crossing to another fence, I'm adding a zip tie. Once I was done and happy with the amount of security that I put with the zip ties, I went ahead and started cutting the bottom of my fence because I don't need it. I'm going to make kind of like an octagon into the middle of my fencing. So just go ahead and get some good pliers and just start removing the bottom of all your fencing. And some of these fences were really easy to snap off. Other ones I had to kind of wiggle and pull, but I have really weak hands, so maybe it would be easier for you, but it is doable. So just go ahead and remove all of them. Once you're done removing all of your bottoms of your fencing, there you have your metal decor. So now what I'm doing again is adding more zip ties wherever I see two of the metal parts or fencing connecting and crossing each other. And I just wanted to make sure that when I move this around or add it anywhere, basically it won't be flimsy and wiggle all over the place, and when I move it, it'll move all in one place and not move around. So that's why I'm adding so many zip ties. But basically I added about 4 zip ties to all fences, just to give you guys an idea. Set that aside, and now you're going to grab one of these decor mirrors that, again, you can get at Dollar Tree, and I had one with just 2 of the decorations still on it, so I'm using basically 1.5 of these mirror designs. And I grabbed my wood carving tool again and just ran it through the edging of my decoration from my mirror to remove it from the mirror. But you can also use some good pliers, and it does come off because I've done it before. So once you've removed your mirror, go ahead and detach each one or separate each one of these little designs from each other to make a total of 4 for each one mirror. So I'm using 6 of them. And I'm also going to use one of these round signs, flip it over, and now I'm going to start gluing and adding popsicle sticks to my design to add it to my sign. And just go ahead and arrange your little decorative pieces to where you're happy and satisfied around your sign. Now you don't have to use a round one, you can use a square, or even if you wanted to get one of the larger picture frames and add a picture frame. Possibilities are endless, just depending on what you want to add to the center of your metal decor. So once you decided to go ahead and do that, and you're happy with where you put your little decorative design pieces, go ahead and add some hot glue to your popsicle stick. Add your popsicle stick, half of it to your sign and half of it to your design piece. Allow it to dry for a little while, and then just go ahead and flip it over, and there you have your design piece. Now that right there looks adorable. If you wanted just to leave it as is, I think I'm going to make one like that as well. What we're going to do with this design piece or this sign is we're going to add it to the center of our metal wall piece, just like this. Now, as you can see, I flipped it over because this is going to be the front side of my metal piece. So I made sure to flip it over so those little zip tie squares can be in the back of my metal decor. And what I'm doing is adding just a little bit of hot glue. That way I can, it can be more manageable, and I can flip it back over to the back side all in one piece. And now here is where I'm going to add my E6000 or any kind of permanent glue that you want to use. And basically wherever my fence metal attaches somewhere, I'm adding E6000 to it. So be generous but not sloppy with your permanent glue. In other words, you can be sloppy in the back, but make sure that none of it seeps through the front. But make sure you do add quite a bit or good enough of the permanent glue onto all your fencing pieces. Once you're done, allow it to dry for a few minutes, and then what I'm doing is adding some hot glue and again some more permanent glue into the center of my wood sign. And just add as much hot glue as you like. I'm adding a lot around the edges because I wanted to make sure that this stayed in place. Now go ahead and grab another sign, and you don't have to do this. You can just leave it the backing the way it was, but I wanted to go ahead and make it more of a finished look, so I decided to add another sign to the back. Then I placed something heavy on top and allowed it to dry for a few hours. Once it was all nice and dry, I decided to go ahead and grab some more zip ties and connect both of the fences at the top part of the metal decor, where the middle, I guess where both ends of the fence meet each other is where I'm adding my zip tie. Once I added the zip tie and connected all of my metal pieces together, then I went around and tightened them all again to make sure all the zip ties were tied nice and good. And then I just removed any of the extra zip tie piece or the string of it. Again, making sure that I'm adding those zip ties facing to the back of my metal piece. And here is how it looks once it's all done. So now what I did was I took it out and spray painted it, and I chose to spray paint mine white. While that was drying, I went ahead and grabbed my monogram, and I chose to paint my monogram black. So just go ahead and add a good coat, a good amount of black or whatever color to your letter. Allow everything to dry. Again, spray painting a clear coat over everything. Then you go ahead and add your monogram to your metal piece. And since it's basically cardboard gluing onto the particle wood sign, I just use hot glue, but you can use permanent glue if you feel more comfortable. Make sure you add your monogram where you like. I wanted to place it where one of the mirror pieces or design pieces was facing up. And this is the way it looks on my wall. I know you can't really see it, so I decided to go ahead and add it onto the floor with the covers so you could see how beautiful this looks. And it is huge. Again, 3 feet by 3 feet, so it's a big piece. So which one of these is your favorite? Or are you going to make all of them like I did? I hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, stay blessed, and don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and share with friends and family if you enjoyed this tutorial. See you next time. Bye.